first section, and then we'll break for pizza, and then we'll go to the second section, which is market, product development. And it's really value proposition. And that's one of the things that I think several of you have trouble articulating what your value proposition is. Why should somebody buy it? Why are you able to solve the pain points of other people? How to construct a business model canvas will be the next. And again, we'll breeze through this because I'll just lay out the template. It's more to help you construct in your own head what your business model is. Because I talked to a lot of you and you all have great ideas, but you really don't have a clear business model. As to, what's your business model for your battery company?
Sell to the military.
Pardon?
Sell to the military.
Okay, but what's the business model?
We focus on the
Sorry.
yeah we will focus the sodium ion cathode.
Yes.
FPP, which is a no cost, and then you can replace this in the listening. There's no listening.
So are you going to sell the cathode? Are you going to sell a license? Are you going to sell the battery? Are you going to sell, what are you going to sell?
Yeah, we're gonna sell the.
That's again, I'm drilling down into,
Yeah.
You got to understand what your business model is.
So we're gonna sell the cathode
You're going to sell the cathode just by itself.
by itself. Yeah.
To whom?
To there's a company called PK Energy.
Just one company.
A few of them in the US. A few
Okay.
of them in the US. We also focus on the international market too, because for our sodium cathode, it is much cheaper than the other cathode.
Okay, but do you think Volta will buy just a cathode from you? Or how will they integrate it into their supply chain? How will they integrate it into their technology? I mean, I'm probing because I'm asking you to think about, because your business model isn't just, I got me a cathode and I'm going to sell it for less. That's not a business model.
Yeah, we have some collaboration with them right now. They're buying the cathode from China, and there's no cathode company in the US. We are the only one.
Oh, I agree. Most companies focus on the anode or on the electrolyte.
Yes.
They're not focused on the cathode, which is interesting. But all of this needs to go into your pitch deck. And a clear articulation of, and I'm going to sell the cathode $10 and it costs me $3 and but it's costing Volta or someone else $20. And I need salespeople, I need distributors. We'll talk about all of that today. Okay. Same thing. Well, you have only 12 customers, right?
Yeah, less than that, less than half a dozen.
So what's your business model and value prop?
Yeah, so the main thing is full manufacturing, no verticality to initially start off. The beachhead market will be 3 companies that have high budgets, high requirements.
So you're selling superconductors.
Right. To a select few companies that need a lot of superconductors, and then at that point maybe taper off into more reliable markets, smaller, but
It's still not a business model. So you got to say, I'm going. Anyway, we'll get to that. I just want you all to think about, because you're going to get nobody to invest in you with the answers I heard, other than DARPA that gave you $12 million or something, right? Because you've got this unbelievable technology, right? Yeah. But if you're looking for investors who are looking at putting money in because they're not doing it as a charity, they're doing it because they expect to get a multiple return on that bet. And that's the challenge about creating a business model that explains all of that. And then finally, we will apply this whole business model canvas to the whole concept of taking academic research and creating commercial companies out. Then we'll gallop through much of this because the second section, which is on creating the go-to-market strategy, is probably more important. And then next week, we will actually do the financial modeling for your business model. We'll talk about how to do it. And then your assignment would be to do one for yourselves. Because without that, you don't have a company. The best representation of your business when you're outside of academia is your business plan. It's not you. It's not physical device that you put here and say, look what I built. It's your business plan. Mapping your 9 steps that we discussed last week. Remember the 9 steps? The lean startup model. Okay. So I will run through this. Every lecture, I'll try to give you some Ashok wisdom because they're lesson from my private life, from my past experience and others. So don't focus on your successes, track your mistakes, don't outrun your supply chain lines, and one of my favorites, don't push the river, let it flow. Don't force anything. Don't put pressure on yourself to come up with the ideas, they will come to you. Or you want, like that.
Guys, the front row. Yeah, thank you.
So quickly recap from last time. How many of you did customer interviews? One. Just great, thanks. I'm glad you did. You want to give us a 2-minute recap of your customer interviews, and if you haven't submitted it, to do it
I
today.
didn't do the write-up yet, but you did.
But give me what you learned. Did you learn anything?
Yeah, we've done a ton of customer interviews. I wouldn't want to say from this week, but I think one thing we learned from maybe 60 to 70 interviews was that, one thing that was very interesting is that our initial value was built off of having high current density tape, but we soon learned that that's not what every company wants. You know, that there's a limit, there's a plateau of current density that every company wants. And if you go past that, it's not adding value. So it's a redo kind of what our strategy is in terms of gaining customers in that sense.
But you have a universe of 12 potential customers, right?
Yeah.
And what are these customers?
Yeah, mainly compact fusion, transmission, and then sometimes MRI and MR.
Mhm. No, I'm just saying so for the edification of everybody else. And did they also, okay, so they put a cap on what you thought you could do. So we don't need more than X amount of. But did they also come up, tell you they wanted something else that you hadn't thought of?
Yeah, one thing that we didn't put too much of an emphasis on, but we found out was very important was having a domestic supplier, a US supplier. Every superconductor comes out of China and Japan right now, not maybe 95%. So having that information is, especially in the times that we're living in now, is extremely important. But we didn't put much of an emphasis on it for the beginning.
You haven't had a chance to do customer
No.
interviews, right? You did?
Yeah.
Okay, so what came back to you from, and who did you talk to?
We actually also talked to,
Louder, please, so that they
yeah,
can.
we talked to Samsung.
Samsung.
Yeah, we also talked to Tesla. We also doing this.
You actually got to talk to Tesla?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah, so because for them, they are interested in the sodium ion battery. The feedback, they want as cheap as possible. No, that's no matter, even sometimes the performance is a little bit low, that's fine. For them, their goal is as low as possible, the cost.
Samsung or Tesla?
Tesla. Samsung is a little bit different. Samsung, we want a little bit higher performance, so.
And what, cycle time, number of cycles, what?
Yeah,
What do they
cycle
want
times
most?
and
But currently-
energy density.
Currently, mostly you got 300 to 400 cycles, right? Is
Yeah.
your capacity before you get.
Currently, we have 3,000.
They want 3,000.
Even 3,000, even 10,000.
Wow, that's a quantum leap.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody, did you,
No, go ahead, I'm finished.
plan to?
I'm a business person, so I don't know how to, I don't know what our customers are.
Go back to the lecture notes from, I've had 6 slides on how to conduct interviews.
Yes,
Just follow that. Ask the questions that are in there and customize them to you're a Vietnamese person who needs to be successful in global markets, right?
that's right.
You all are smart, so you gotta figure it out.
Thank you. Yeah, we will try to do that.
I think it's very important. It's even more important than what we're gonna talk about financial modeling. Because if you don't know what your customer wants, You are building some, the worst thing is to be successful in what you're building and find out nobody wants it,
Yeah, I agree.
right?
There were two teams that they don't know that there was a customer interview because they were not involved. But I was involved in their team as well as in.
What is your team? Your first time here? Pardon?
Venti.
This is the Carbonex.
No,
No,
this
no.
is the non-electric human-powered ventilator device.
Oh, okay. So it's outside.
Previous,
This
Yes,
is my.
they have.
I actually went to
This is
Greentown
second
Labs, because
Yes.
that's what it showed on the calendar. Well, I drove all.
I wish I had gone to Greek.
Actually, it says right there,
That's all
green lab.
It's all right.
Right.
You're not my conductor, young man.
So the other two teams are, their team on ethylene as well as the team that came up with Carbonex, which is converting CO2 into limestone. We had a
From the
conversation.
cement or from the wire?
In the
From the
The
cement.
cement industry.
That's Samantha's.
Yes, Samantha's group.
Yes.
The one thing that the ethylene group that was interested, this is an
These are the
EPC
company
company.
guys.
Yeah, we were talking to an EPC company,
Okay.
trying to understand what is it that they would like to see. The fact that the potential is very large. It is, that was attractive to them.
Yeah.
But they still wanted to learn a lot more about technology. Because we had shown only so much of the results.
To me, the whole exercise is not to please the professor, but it is for you all to understand what path you're on. Maybe nobody wants a cheap sodium cathode. But Samsung told you they did, so you're validating one of your assumptions. So you have to then determine what is the value proposition. I was asking you all, what's your value proposition? My wife saying, brother from India, sorry. Anyway, what is a value proposition? Promise of value to be delivered. I mean, you were saying that they will save 13 cents per kilo.
13 cents per kg of ethylene produced.
That is the value. So you actually nailed it. The question then is, why will they choose you? Because if you're going to save 13 cents a kilo, but they've got to spend 20 cents a kilo, to save the 13 cents in terms of equipment and people, then there's no real value. So it's not just that they're going to save. It's got to have to be factored in all of the other things that support them getting to that number. You all are what again?
Venti, human-powered, non-electric powered ventilator.
Okay. You'll have to explain that. Did you present in the first session?
Our CEO did, Abhishek. So I'm the CMO, she is
Okay.
the CSO.
Okay. So you've got to identify the target customer. Like you said, it's Tesla. They're not your target customer. It's got to be the battery maker. Not going to be the automotive.
They make the battery.
Pardon me?
They make the battery.
Yeah, Tesla does make a battery system.
Make battery.
They make the Powerwall.
They make the Powerwall, but they don't make the 18650s that sit in them. Trust me. I know the battery business. I have a battery company. The 18650, which is the workhorse of the commercial battery world, is made by people. Well, Samsung makes them. Tesla doesn't. The automotive business, trust me, is the hardest business to crack in anything, whether you want to sell them a plastic part or the door panel, or you want to sell them a battery, or you want to sell them some software. They are 7-year cycle, typically, from start to finish in an automotive environment. So I would just caution you, don't bet the farm on the automotive. Okay, so these are fairly self-evident, but it's, as remember David Dreesen last time said, all these self-evident points, most startups get wrong. So these are reminders. Make sure that you will have thought through when you think about your value prop. So what is your value? I'm curious. Can you articulate it in 2 sentences? That's the challenge. You've got to be able to articulate your value proposition in 2 sentences.
Well, our value proposition is that basically we offer an affordable program, which is reusable, long treatment up to 24 hours, and it's also non-electric
Or
for the purpose of the
For respiratory distress.
you had your hand up.
Ours is, we can reduce the number of power supplies by a factor of 5 at half the cost and a quarter of the size.
The customer is,
Industrial, military, or commercial. So pretty much everybody uses a power supply, and medical was probably a big part of that too.
all right. So now we're gonna move on to something that will help you map your business model. Because I keep coming back to what's your business. So this is a canvas that is a one page that provides insight into all of the building blocks to describe your business. And if you follow this, so we had the lean startup principles last time. This is the business model canvas. They both sort of can sit side by side. This is one visual way of helping you understand. It's a globally recognized strategic management tool. And it's like a one-page blueprint, like ideas. So there are 9 key components. They start with, what are your customer segments? And this is what I'm finding, other than you who have 12 customers. Most of you have difficulty articulating. Who is your customer? What are the segments? In your case, 12, you can name them all on one page, easy. Second is, what is the value proposition? We spent some time discussing that. You're all having trouble explaining that. I think if you think through it, you will, you know, it's intuitive to all of you. You know it here. You gotta then articulate it here. The next is, what channels are you gonna use to get to these customers? Are you gonna use direct sales? Are you gonna use distributors and agents and licensing? How are you gonna maintain these customer relationships? How are you gonna make money? Before you make money, how are you gonna get revenue? Because without a top line, there is no bottom line. Top line is revenue, bottom line is profit. Most of you understood that. What's the top line, what's the bottom line? We'll go through it in great detail next Saturday as to how to actually create business models. What are the resources you need? You need capital, you need equipment, you need people, you need something, software, you need to be able to outsource. The activities, and then partnerships and the costs. So this is in one visual canvas. And I don't want to spend too much time, so we'll go to, okay, what are your customer segments? We've already talked about that. What are your most important customers? What problem do they need solved? I mean, it's very easy for everybody to say, we're going to do twice as good for half the cost. It doesn't really work in the real world. People don't believe it. And you've really got to have an explanation of what problem you're solving. There's many industries that don't care because they know that what they have works. They've got entrenched incumbents that are delivering solutions to them. And yeah, you walk in and say it's twice as good and half the cost. It's man, too risky. But that's never usually a very good, compelling selling. It's one of the selling points, but don't make it the selling, like your battery. It's got to be more than just twice as good, half the cost. What value do we deliver? We've talked about this a lot. Some of the examples can be better price, lower cost, performance, design, reduction of risk. In your case, some of that is also involved, I think. The channels, just going through the business model, 9 components one by one. These are more intended to be behind. What are your channels? Are they direct sales? Are they website? Are they distributors? Are they agents? How are you going to get your product to your customer? first had to define who the customers. In your case, it's not Tesla. It's the guys who are making the 18650 that Tesla is using. I know, because we've tried to sell the Tesla. The US, because you're not building the 18650. You're just building a cathode. And someone who's building the 18650 has to be convinced to replace the cathode with your cathode. And that can be quite complex. It's much easier to go to Tesla and say, hey, I want to just build this 18650, which has my anode cathode in it. All right? Customer relationships. Again, your customer is not Tesla, it's whoever's building that device. And how will you interact with these customers? What are your long-term, short-term relationships, contractual? In many cases, some of you are OEMing it, so you're going to have long-term agreements where you will be part and parcel of their sales channel. This is yourselves, right? Making sense to you guys, or learning anything, or this is just stuff you already know? Important, how do we make money? That's really important. So you've got to figure out, what are you selling? Is it a product? Is it a service? Is it a loyalty? Is it a technology? Is it a complete turnkey solution? Is it an OEM part? Usage fees, consumables, all of the above. And a great business will have many of these components in it, because then you're diversifying your revenue sources. What are the key resources you need? Particularly in deep tech, there's a lot of resource you need. Millions of dollars. I think your ethylene guy said you needed $1 million just to have a lab demonstration. The equipment, right? How about you all? What kind of lab equipment have you needed to be able to create these anodes? These cathodes, sorry.
We need a furnace, we need
How cheap?
we also need the crusher of fuel.
How about you all?
Injection molding.
How cheap? Yes, and what else do you make?
So we actually had a prototype that was made out of, it was a 3D printed made device while we were at U of H before we competed for our first competition. So our CEO, he's an engineer, so he was here at the School of Engineering co-native, but we were also trying to test in longevity as well. And so we realized when we took it to another showcase that someone was trying to use it and they broke it. So that's when we were like, okay, we need something more sustainable, more that it's going to be able to be used for longer periods of time. So that's why we switched.
Back up and ask the question I asked you in the first session. How many of you intend to make your project a real company? You do? Everybody. You intend to actually go out and make it a real. That's great. So this is not just pearls before people who don't want them. The activities to create value. What are the critical tasks? This is all in your business model canvas. So in your case, these key activities are different. You've got to think it through and you've got to write them down. That's part of your homework, by the way, next time. I need from all of you your business model canvas on one page. I'll show you what key partnerships and your cost structures. What's the ongoing cost, CapEx, people costs, all of which have to be identified. You may not know it right now, but over time. And by the time you compete on November 15th, you need to have it all modeled out. Fair enough?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody expects to be able to model out. So the 9 building blocks, typically the way we visually represent it is on the right side of the canvas is customer focused stuff, and on the left side is internal. So here's how you would do it. And in these blocks, just write in, type in, or whatever it is, you can put it on one page. You can build a business model canvas, this is the template. That'll help you put together that 10-minute pitch that you're going to present, not just on November 15th, but you can refine it, hone it when you get up in front of Silicon Valley venture capitalists, private equity firms, angel investors, and be able to convince them that someone should write a check for your company. Right? That's not charity. So why use it? You don't have to. You could do it. I mean, we didn't really use the business model canvas for some of the teams that competed at Rice. Lighter Tech, for instance, they had progressed quite a bit, so they didn't need a business model canvas. But the team that competed this year earlier, we did this. Team that was recycling the components of polyester from clothes. Huge one. Make sense to you all so far? Any questions? Yes, Radha.
You know, if you go back to slide 20 or slide, yeah, either one is, okay, slide 20.
Yes.
Combining this with what we talked about, lean business, lean startup. For many of these guys who are in early stages, what is the first thing that you would need to focus? Get it reasonably understood before you go to the next one and the next one. Is there any kind of a sequence in this, or?
I think the common is who's your customer and what's the value prop?
So that's the first they have to focus on.
Why are you better? What pain point are you solving? And then you get to after who's your customer, who's your competition? Then you get to why are you better than them? Then you get to what is my long-term competitive advantage? I mean, if you're just cheaper, big guy can come and slash their prices. Or someone can reverse engineer it. What's your secret sauce? How are you protecting it? Then what are you going to sell it for? Then what is it going to cost? Watch Lighter Tech's pitch deck. Follow that process. That's the logical steps used using the lean startup model and parts of the business model. This is simply to force people to write down all the key components of your business on one page. I don't think this is fundamentally essential, but it helps. For you to think through who's your customer, what are you going to charge, what's your long-term competitive edge, who's your competition. Your competition isn't another sodium cathode, it's people who make cathodes. Period. It's like, let's go back to Lighter Tech and Alex talked to you 2 lectures ago. The competition wasn't laser chip cutting. The competition was anybody who could cut a chip. And 90% of it was diamond tip saws. And most people are comfortable using it because it works. So they get 10% breakage. But it works. It's reliable. I don't have to replace that machine every 2 years. But that's the competition. Not somebody else using lasers.
So pursuing part 2 of that same question. If they did first, what you're saying is make sure what are you offering and who are you offering it to that most likely to get it.
Yeah.
And in that process, you will iterate several times.
Several
Which is all the customer conversations and so on.
Which is, yes.
And once you get a little bit of clarity, that is when you're starting to spend time on the others, because without fixing that, wasting time on the other ones is just a waste.
Yeah, thanks. That's well said. If we go back to what I've said 50 times so far in these 4 lectures, you gotta solve the customer's problem. And once in a while, the customer doesn't know he has the problem, so you have to figure that out. Mostly the customer does know they have a problem. But sometimes they don't. And you have to do it better than everybody else, or most others, to be able to have a long-term competitive advantage. and you get funded, and produce the product, and you can make money. And then making money is a good thing. Because if you don't make money, you die. 9 out of 10, remember Valley of Death? 9 out of 10 companies that start don't survive. Alrighty, so just what we just said. Competitive analysis, product development. So this is description for each block. Right? I won't bore you with it. We've already talked a lot about this, but I just put it all on one page. And here's a very good case study about Airbnb. When they did their business model canvas, what did they get? Said, okay, what are the customer segments? Well, there's two: travelers and people who own homes, want to host, want to use their. So I won't go through every step. You can see that they really thought it through. And they went from being irritated that they couldn't find a hotel room in San Francisco to building the basis for most companies today that are in the gig economy. Uber wouldn't have happened without Airbnb. Vrbo wouldn't have happened without Airbnb. They were the absolute vanguard of this thing, the gig economy. So again, how many of you listened to the Reid Hoffman podcast on Airbnb? Great. Please listen to it. I mean, these two founders, they are worth listening. What did you think? Give me your 2 minutes.
2 minutes, but yeah, it was gonna, I don't know what to say. It was just the tracker kind of thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, pearls of wisdom, lots of them, right in there. What drove them to do it, how they did it, the setbacks they had while trying to do it, how they overcame them.
They're both very successful in different ways.
Yes.
So you can kind of see their trees of how they think differently, but it still leads to success.
They work together. That's the other thing, it's always good to have more than one founder. And over time, when we get to team building, you'll see that you need to go out and find co-founders, fill the gaps that you have. Like LighterTech did, going back to LighterTech, they went out and got Alex. The 3 genius PhDs went out and got Alex as the business guy. And only then did the whole company come together with some leadership and some business savvy. They put a business plan together and then raise money, and now they're on a tear. They will be very successful. All right. Please do one for next week. Do your business model canvas. You can either do it on that one page with the 9 blocks, or you can do it like I showed the Airbnb, whichever one you're comfortable with. The Airbnb way I showed the case study. Fair enough? Everybody promises they'll do it?
100%.
And the customer interview. Those who did customer interview. That's before you even do this, you should do customer interview. At least one customer. So ask yourself this question. What insight you gain? Just one. We'll talk about it next time. Yeah, more than one, that's even better. And this is, we're going to do lecture 5 right now, so forget this. Do read some of this. Rather, you read most of what we have said, and maybe you want to chip in.
Some of the Harvard Business Review articles that they had given. We don't need to be an expert to really understand the flow that they are walking you through. There is one on business model. You filled out all of the 9 blocks, and you can see there what are the kind of questions they're asking that you can write down. And I'm sure it won't be perfect on round 1, because that is part of the lean process. When but make an attempt because you know what you're struggling with. And what are, so you can discuss that and then focus on those for round two. So that is important. Okay, that's what I would just say, but listen to everyone, they're all,
Scott
picked from a
Shane's
lot of
articles are
information.
fabulous. Blank's articles are fabulous. And Reid Hoffman's podcasts are great. Oswalder, he's the business model canvas creator. Take a look. Let me ask you to read the first chapter, first and second. You don't have to read them. Or even not the second, first chapter is enough. But it'll give you some insight. Instead of, watching Squid Game or whatever. All right, so thanks, guys. We can break for 5 minutes now before we get to the next.
I don't know the future scale.